and lyrics over tracks. I feel really, really comfortable telling a narrative or writing a song when I can hear like the backdrop of it. It feels like I'm like walking on stage and like the set is already made. So I just have to like write the script. And so just like having a general vibe can instantly put me in a location, and then there's tons of memories and bad breakups and moments of joy that I can draw from, simply from hearing sounds like that. But for me personally, for my own artist project stuff, I feel like whenever I sit down to write, there's usually something nowadays that I really want to say. And like piano was my first instrument. So playing chords and just having just harmony or just a bass line, even just like single note on my left hand, like is enough for me that feels like a track to me. And I feel like usually there's like a feeling, and I always go melody first. But when I sing melodies, I don't like singing gibberish or laws. I have to sing words. So even if it's like, there's a microwave in my bedroom or whatever, like I have to like say words. And that's usually where the gold happens. Like somewhere in the sentences, like the cheesy, the totally random, or I don't know, like random sentences will come phrases that is like the depths of my soul, like just like the truth that I want to say is in there. And I like have found that I'm not good at trying to write lyrics first, because I'm like way too good at like lying to myself. So I just have to like let my subconscious speak. And the only way I can do that is just to focus on melody, but like letting my brain say words. And
wow, that's super cool. Yeah, you kind of get into this like almost, it sounds like a meditative space where you're just like letting things, like you're not thinking about, because you're not thinking about the lyrics, like something just comes out like unconsciously.
Yes.
Super cool.
Yeah. And then once there's, I almost never produce first. I think I always have to have melody and lyrics. Like even if the chords change and the harmony like gets rearranged, I need to know what I'm saying before I put that song in a space. Because once I know it, once I'm like determined that this is going to be like club banger, angry, then I could really feel like, all right, drums need to be aggressive. Like I'm trying to make a point. So like sticks and drum line and I don't know, all that stuff. Like it becomes easier to choose my tools afterwards. So same thing with like production that I feel about with lyrics, where if I produce first, I just feel like I'm it's too hard to be honest to myself with like what I really want to make, because I'll just reference, I'm just making things without really creating something new, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. You kind of have to have your song has to exist kind of in your brain first, and then you just decide what the production is based on that. Whereas you're just getting in the production and like, okay, what works with this groove, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're actually writing on piano usually, like.
Yeah. Usually piano. Sometimes I'll make like a drum loop. Like that's the most like production-y thing that I'll do. Or like find like a guitar sound. I don't play guitar, but like finding some sort of like splice chord loop and then having that there in place of piano, just so I can feel different.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm sure you could take up guitar pretty easily if you wanted to. That's another investment of your time, but I'm sure it's a possibility. Do you have any like sounds that you go to like help you get inspired in terms of like the actual sonic palette of a production?
Yeah. These days, speaking of guitar, a couple of months ago, like I like bit the bullet and I bought Native Instruments like contact complete or whatever, like just like spent $500 for like very nice sounds, and it's been amazing. I am like these days, like I'm starting a lot on bass, like, but playing on like, a MIDI keyboard, and finding that it, for someone who's always like, for most of my life started with like little like piano riffs, or like just like, 4 chords over like a click, just like giving myself like the chance to just pick bass notes, which like will determine, how the harmony moves, and like everything else has been great. It's like starting from the ground up. So that honestly, like Scarby, whatever it is in Native Instruments, has been like my new favorite. Same thing with their like guitar patches. I love like the strummed acoustic thing, because it just sounds so great, and it sounds like something that I can't do. And that's been like one of my favorite things to start off with. But before all that, I love Spitfire's soft piano. It's so quiet and so delicate, and it makes me feel like I'm alone in a closet and no one's around. So, and it just, same thing with like making me feel like I'm in a space where I'm like free to write or make whatever. And I'm sure these sounds, like what I like to use, will change, but whatever it is usually just something that feels not very restricting, I think. Because I think like too often, I think some patches make me feel like the song has to be this kind of thing, which totally works if I'm like, I'm going to make an 80s synth pop song. So like, I think sure there's like a lot of things that would make sense to make something like that. But since I usually don't work like that, and I kind of want to say something, like write the lyrics and write a story first. Like I like things like that, where I'm just like, it's pretty as blank slate-y as possible.
Yeah, and I think also as like a piano player, because you have like that whole harmonic, melodic thing at your fingertips, it's good to have like movement there, and like the ability to kind of do that thing, as opposed to people that are maybe working more with loops, or more with like things that kind of like, okay, this is the kind of rhythm, this is the kind of like lead part. It gives you more of that space to use that piano knowledge.
Yeah, totally.
Love it. So tell me, I guess, work me through like a production. Like what happens after that? Like how do you build on top of the song that you've now created on a piano, and you've kind of like done some basic stuff in the DAW? Like where does it go from there usually?
I definitely take a lot of time. And I think at some point after I have like kind of the basic skeleton and all of that, I usually like to throw in like some sort of wild card thing. Like that's when I start like adding in like random loops and stuff, or just like making like just like taking an axe and just like chopping so many things off. And yeah, I feel like those two things are probably like my next moves. I love like adding, like if the song is like supposed to be like folky, and then putting a drum loop that's clearly for so, some sort of like dance electronic thing, and then like, it not really fitting that well, but like finding ways to make it fit, and then having it like sound right for some reason. So I think that's what I
trial and error.
Yeah, just like I kind of operate the same way with like cooking too. I'm not like really great. Oh, I can't say I'm not really great, because I can definitely follow a recipe, but I don't. I like to think that I know how to make it just by guessing. So very much like, we're just going to throw things in. We're just going to see. We're going to see if we like it,
Yeah, I can't judge your cooking without trying it. I never use recipes pretty much. I'm always just like pop it in, use your eye,
Incredible.
It'll work out.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely. Well, I noticed that your songs all sound like super modern, and like, with it. How do you stay on top, up to date with sounds and trends? Like, are you listening to anything specific? Are you trying to hone in on anything?
Yeah, definitely. I'm like Spotify playlists are something else. Like I know the algorithm like rules our lives, but they really do know like me so well. And I think definitely am always up on my like Discover Weekly. Like that's like the easiest thing for me to do to find songs that I like. But I think a lot of the times I trust like everyone in my circle. Like most of my friends are all musicians and have immaculate taste. So whenever we get together and someone's like manning the playlist, like I'll just be around and like just like quietly like be in the corner myself and just hear and jot down like lyrics, like just in case I like forget the name of the song or whatever. And I think like just picking up on what people like just in conversation or just in social situations, not so much in the past year, but that's usually how it goes. Like I'll be somewhere and I'll be listening to the music, even though it's like supposed to be background music, and kind of catching it in like real life. And the other thing was I'm a huge like YouTube essay fanatic. I love like watching movie reviews or like just like random things, random 20-minute videos of like people just talking. And like same thing with like algorithms, like me watching like 20 minutes of why this is actually an amazing video essay that I watch, why the height of heels like shrink when the economy goes up or something like that, will like lead me to like a new Doja Cat song. Like I watch that, and then right on the side is like songs that I would like, and have just like discovered music that way too. Just like randomly, like YouTube goes rogue, and then I come across a song that I really love. Yeah.
Yeah. The algorithms are getting smarter, right?
They're so smart. And of course TikTok and everything. I've always felt really at home, like just like diving deep into the rabbit hole of like the internet and social media, and just like through spending too much time on my computer and my phone, come across like people I love and am inspired by.
Do you find like you have to detox sometimes from the amount of, phone usage that happens? Like, I'm assuming you put a phone away when you're actually in like deep in the creative process, right?
These days, yes. These days I like physically have to do it. I'm really, really bad. And I wanted to say, yes, like I do feel like I need to detox, but I love.
You're not alone.
I love sitting and just holding my phone and doing absolutely nothing. So yeah, honestly, only when I'm working do I put it away. And it's funny because it's not really a choice. It's usually like, because I usually work a little bit later in the day. So like and I wake up really early. So my first like couple hours I'll just spend on my phone and drain my battery. So by the time I have to work, it's like it's dead and my charger is too short. So I'm like, I have to
real physical barriers.
Physical barriers. That's the only way that's going to go down. Yeah.
Wow, love it. So tell me a bit about working with other people, because you mentioned to me that you're also producing, some other artists now. How have you found those artists to work with, or how do they find you?
Yeah. Over the past couple months, I've, came into contact with this management company that I've been just speaking to, and they've linked me up with new writers and artists to work with. So that's kind of the start of it. And then through like the first few sessions, back in like November, December, and me like feeling so uncomfortable and like I did not feel ready to like produce anyone. I think like I was like overcompensating, like spending a lot of time on my first few demos to kind of come up with something impressive, because it had been the first time I'd ever done anything like that. And like that has allowed me to like really focus on production alone and not make it about like my song or like my writing. And since then, I think like because of that, of just kind of gaining confidence from that, I felt a lot better about